Documenting student progress and student achievement is very crucial when you are an educator and you want to start collecting student data. And Google Forms is a great way to collect that data in a very quick and easy way. So you could use Google Forms for surveys, or in this case, we are going to do it for student documentation and observation. So what we're going to do, we're just going to head over to our waffle and look at Google Forms. So just going to open that up here. And we're just going to open a blank one. So we're going to keep this Google form quite simple just to go over the main steps of accessing this add-on that we're just about to talk about. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to title this here, title my form documentation. I'm going to have the form itself named the same thing. And now we are going to populate it with questions. So the first thing we want to do is probably get the student names. We're going to make this a required question. So that way we actually know who we're documenting about. And with student names, because we are going to have a whole list of different names, we are going to make this a drop down. That way we can just choose from a simple list. Now we're going to create a brand new question. And for this next question, we're actually going to do date. So that way we know exactly what date that the observation occurred. And our next question, we are actually going to have the observations. That's going to jump into a paragraph type question and make that required too. So all three questions are required. So really quick and easy documentation form here. Okay, so a little bit of front loading work that we need to do. First off, we are going to go over to our Google Drive, and you'll see that I have a folder already created here called documentation and saved directly in my drive. And that's important for me to remember. Because what we're going to do, we are actually going to create a Google document for every single student in our class. So that's probably the most work that we'll need to do in preparation for using this add-on. So we're going to go to New. We're going to create 3 Google Docs. We're only going to do 3 today. There we go. And then so we can figure out which one's which. We're just going to name them with some student names. So for this first one, let's call it Ashley. This next one, we'll name it Billy. And this last one, we'll name it Bonnie. All right, so that is all set here. The next step is to download the add-on that's going to be helpful for us. So the add-on that I'm talking about today is Doc Appender. So Doc Appender basically takes everything from our Google form, and instead of populating a spreadsheet with all this information, we can actually populate those 3 Google Docs that I just created. So it's just another way of saving information in a different format, in a different program. So the first thing we're going to have to do is download the program. So if we go to the More buttons, the 3 horizontal buttons there, we are going to go to Add-ons. And then we're just going to do a quick search for Doc Appender. We're going to see it listed here. And you're also going to notice that I already have it installed, even when I click on it. So this blue button, instead of saying uninstall, for you, it'll say install. So just go ahead and click install and log in with those quick, simple steps. It'll automatically be added to our add-ons puzzle piece where we can access the actual program. And there we'll see Doc Appender. So just go ahead and click on that when we're ready to use. Maybe a quick refresh. Now let's try clicking on that again. Perfect, that's what I wanted, just had to reactivate it. So to use Doc Appender, we're gonna open the sidebar, and that's gonna be the actual program on the side of our screen here. Now it's gonna ask us to target an actual folder. So the folder that I created in my Google Drive was called documentation. So we're gonna need to select that. So we're gonna go pick from Drive. So open this little window, we're gonna find that folder called documentation. There it is there, and click select. Perfect, so now that's the selected folder. We're gonna click on next. And now it's gonna ask us to pick which question do we actually wanna populate with those files in that folder. So when you click select question, you might not see anything. So go ahead and click refresh list, and quickly it'll just be populated. So in this particular case, we want it to link to the question of student names. Click on that. Save and populate selected question. Go ahead and click on that, and you're going to notice on my form that it is now linked to Ashley, Billy, and Johnny. Just populated it for us. Click on next. Now it's going to look at the entire form, and it's going to ask which questions do we want to include in those documents. So in this case, I only want student names, date, and observation. I'll keep it very simple. And then how do you want the responses formatted? So they give you an option of separate bulleted lists, separate vertical tables, or my personal favorite, rows in a single horizontal table. So you can explore the three, find which best suits you, but I'm going to pick that one for today, and then click enable. And that should do it. It should be ready to go. I'm just going to minimize this bar here. Now let's do a test run. So I'm just going to click the preview button to test this out. And now we are going to include some observations. So student name. So for my first one, I'll pick Johnny. I made the observation today. And my observation is Johnny was a real good friend to Billy today. And click submit. So this was for Johnny, and I have all three documents still open. After you click submit, we can actually go over to the Johnny document, and we can see that it populated for us automatically with his name, the date, and the observations that I saw. So you can go ahead and create all of your documentation, and it saves in this little table for you in a Google Doc. Like I said, it might be a little bit easier to read, a little bit cleaner, as opposed to using a Google spreadsheet. So that is how to use Doc Appender for observations and documentation.